Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled. Understanding that the Lord had accepted the proposal, Advaita Acharya started to dance. Kiba pratna kiba agya kehena buja hila alingana kari prabhu tanra vidhaya dila. No one knew what Advaita Acharya requested or what the Lord ordered. After embracing the Acharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade him farewell. Text 63. Nityananda kahe Prabhu shunaha Shripad e ami magi tumi karaha prasada. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told Nityananda Prabhu, please hear me, O holy man. I now request something of you. Kindly grant my request. Okay, so let's recite text number 64 together. Prati Varsha Nila Chale Tumina Asibha Gauda Rahi Mora Icha Safala Karibha. Prati Varsha Nila Chale Tumina Asibha Prati Varsha Nila Chale Tumina Asibha Gauda Rahi Mora Icha Safala Karibha Gauda Rahi Mora Icha Safala Karibha.
Prativarsha Nilachale Tumina Siva Prativarsha Nilachale Tumina Siva Gauda Rahi Mora Icha Safala Karibha Gauda Rahi Mora Icha Safala Karibha Prativarsha Nilachale Tumina Siva Prativarsha Nilachale Tumina Siva Gauda Rahi Mora Icha Safala Karibha Gauda Rahi Mora
Prativarsha Nilachale Tumina Siva
Prativarsha Nilachale Tumina Siva
Gauda Rahi Mora Icha Safala Karibha.
Thank you so much, Mataji, please. Thank you so much, word for word. Prati Varsha, every year. Nila Chale, to Jagannath Puri, Tumi, you. Na Asibha, do not come. Gauda Rahi, staying in Bengal. Mora Icha, my desire. Sa Safala, Karibha, make successful. Translation. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Nityananda Prabhu, do not come to Jagannath Puri every year, but stay in Bengal and fulfill my desire. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to spread the only medicine effective in this fallen age of Kali. The chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, following the orders of his mother, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was residing at Jagannath Puri, and the devotees were coming to see him. However, the Lord felt that this message must be spread very elaborately in Bengal, and in his absence, there was not a second person capable of doing it. Consequently, the Lord requested Nityananda Prabhu to stay there and broadcast the message of Krishna consciousness. The Lord also entrusted a similar preaching responsibility to Shripad Rup Goswami and Shripad Sanatan Goswami. Nityananda Prabhu was requested not to come every year to Jagannath Puri, although seeing Lord Jagannath greatly benefits everyone. Does this mean that the Lord was refusing Nityananda Prabhu a fortunate opportunity? No. One who is a faithful servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must execute his order, even if one has to sacrifice going to Jagannath Puri to see Lord Jagannath there. In other words, it is a greater fortune to carry out Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order than to satisfy one's senses by seeing Lord Jagannath. Haribo. Preaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult throughout the world is more important than staying in Vrindavan or Jagannath Puri for one's own personal satisfaction. Spreading Krishna consciousness is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Therefore, his sincere devotees must carry out his desire. Let us all together recite this verse. Prithivite achayata nagaradi grama sarvatra prachara highway mora nama. What's very interesting in this verse is Mahaprabhu is saying, my name, not Krishna's name. The devotees of Lord Chaitanya must preach Krishna consciousness in every village and town in the world. That will satisfy the Lord. It is not that one should act whimsically for his own personal satisfaction. This order comes down through the parampara system, and the spiritual master presents these orders to the disciple so that he or she can spread the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is the duty of every disciple to carry out the order of the bona fide spiritual master and spread Lord Chaitanya's message all over the world. Hare Krishna, and good morning to everybody. It's a pleasure to be back at Bhaktivedanta Manor. I was just in India. I gave class 2 weeks ago in Chowpatty Temple, and then I was at Jaipur, where I got to see the manifestation of Lord Chaitanya's heart. Do you know about this story? I'll tell you in a few minutes. So time is today short. We have to finish by 8:15. And the only time in my life when I don't stick to time is class. Otherwise my time is very good. So let's try to end on time so we can prepare for the Gita. Yagya, Gita Jayanti. Om Agyan Timirnasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Umritamyana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. While I was in New York, I got to see something very special which I would like to share with all of you today. When Srila Prabhupada had taken sannyas, it was September of 1959. And Srila Prabhupada, he was given, you may have seen on some of the videos of Srila Prabhupada giving class, Prabhupada would walk in the Bhagavatam classes holding a very thick black book. You may have seen this sometimes. That black book is the Srimad Bhagavatam in one text. And the Bhagavatam is in Bengali, written in Bengali. And it has the purports of the different acharyas. So when Prabhupada would come and provide the Bhagavatam classes, he would actually read from this black book. Have you seen maybe sometimes on the videos? The devotees will come and give it to him. This black book was given to him when he took sannyas in 1959 in September. I found something magical in that black book. Now these books are kept locked away, so we only get to pray to them and see them when you go to Prabhupada's rooms. But as part of my research, I had the opportunity to touch the pages that had the beautiful fingerprints of Srila Prabhupada. I turned to a page where Prahlad Maharaj is offering prayers. And he's talking about the importance of delivering the world. On that very page of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada pulled out his pen and he drew an arrow. He drew an arrow across the verses that Prahlad Maharaj speaks about delivering the world. And this was 3 months after taking sannyas. Srila Prabhupada, once he put an arrow across the side of the verses, he wrote something, which I'd like to share with you. He wrote, "To be preached in Europe and America. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, 13th of December, 1959. So this was the first time Srila Prabhupada had predicted his own mission. 3 months after taking sannyas, 6 years before he left for the West. Srila Prabhupada ki. So this was always Prabhupada's desire. If you'd like to see, you can come at the end, maybe outside, and I'll show you. You can see Prabhupada's signature and how he wrote this prediction for himself. So Srila Prabhupada is truly a personality of the greatest level of mysticism, to be able to predict something which we are all benefiting today from. In the Chaitanya Mangal, Lochan Das Thakur, he talks about the same concept. And he mentions that in Kali Yuga, Yadi Papi Chari Dharma, if sinful people try to escape Krishna consciousness, Dure Deshe Yaya, and they run away to other countries around the world, don't worry. Mora Senapati Bhakta Yaibe Tatya. I will send my commander-in-chief to deliver those souls around the world. That is His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, whose followers we are all. And Srila Prabhupada, this Mahamantra that he gave, this is not just a theory in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is actually a Veda mantra. This is a very serious prayer. In the Vedas, there's huge passages that describe the importance of the Mahamantra. Dwaparante narado brahmanam jagam katham Bhagavan gamparitan kilim santare yamati sahovacha brahma sadhu prishtosmi sarva shruti rahasyam gopyam tachrino yena kali samsaram tirishyasi Bhagavat Adipurusasya Narayanasya Nam Ucharna Matrena Nirdhut Kalir Bhavati. When Narad was once sitting in Satyalok, which is the topmost planet in the material universe, he was looking down at planet Earth and he said to Lord Brahma, I feel sad, I feel compassionate towards the fallen souls that are in Earth and will be taking birth in Earth in the future. How are they possibly going to be free from hypocrisy, from greed, from lust, from anger, from always being disturbed? And Brahma said, Sadhu, this is an excellent question. Pristoshmi, you've asked me. I will tell you a secret. Sarva Shruti Rahasyam, the most confidential hymn in all of the Vedas. Hear from me, Gopyam, a secret. Yena Kali Samsaram, by which one can remove themselves from the evil effects of Kali. Now, Brahma said to to Narad, Bhagavat Adi Purushasya, Narayanasya, chant the name of the origin of Narayana. Bhagavat Adi Purushasya, Narayanasya. This is never mentioned. No one talks about the origin of Narayana, because Narayana is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But here, Brahma is directly stating, say the name of the origin of Narayana. Narad, he was bewildered. We only hear of Narayana. Who is the origin of Narayana? Naradaha Punaha Papricha. He again asked, Tannam Kimiti. What name are you talking about? Who can be the origin of Narayana? Hiranyagarbha Ovacha. And Brahma recited, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Iti Shiroshaka Nam Nam. These 16 words, Kali Kalmashanashanam, has so much power that it can destroy all of our issues in life in coming close to Krishna and reviving an active service towards Him, by which at the time of death, our consciousness that is already engaged in serving Krishna simply gets transformed to the spiritual world. There's no gap in between. It is not that you become a devotee and then you die and then you wake up and enter the spiritual world. Sadatad bhava bhavitaha. Gita explains that's not the way. If your consciousness is actively absorbed in having a social life with Krishna, okay, then in that active service, your subtle body dissolves. You get released from Bhur, Bhuva and Swahalok, the 3 lokas. You pass Maharlok. Then you go to Janalok. Then you pass Tapalok, Satyalok. You cross the Gopi, whose form is the Virija river, upon the banks of which Mahadev resides with Parvati. And you wave bye-bye. And you keep on going. And you cross the Vaikuntha planets. You see Lord Ramachandra. You see Lord Narasimha, Vaman. And then you keep on going into the lotus-petaled Dham of Golok. And that's where Srila Prabhupada waits for all of his followers. And then we enter into Leela. Bhakti Tirth Maharaj mentioned many, many times that the Chaitanya Charitamrita is an active pastime still being performed. This Mahamantra, Nataha Parataru Upaya. In this Upanishad of the Krishna Yajurveda, there is no better solution than this, because Sarve Vedeshu Drishyate. The conclusion of all the Vedas is to chant the Mahamantra. This is the gift that Srila Prabhupada gave to the world. This is the gift that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had left for Srila Prabhupada to spread, and we are the recipients of that. That is why, in my personal view, I think the devotees of ISKCON are the most fortunate in this planet. Absolutely. Because we are parts of God's pastimes that are happening to this day. It is not that it ended. In this particular verse that we quote regularly in every town and village, some of you may not be aware about the context of this particular verse. So I would just like to recite some of the verses from the Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is where this verse appears. So in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, the saintly demigods, the saintly kings, the perfected beings, the Puranas and the Mahabharata cannot see me even after intense search. I have incarnated to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement. I will deliver all the fallen souls of this world. In this age, the demons and yavanas who have no faith in me will also cry while chanting my names. In this age, I will distribute devotional service that is desired by the demigods, sages, and perfected beings to everyone, including the untouchables, miscreants, Yavanas, Mlechas, dog eaters, okay, and other souls belonging to the lower Varnas. But people who are intoxicated by education, wealth, high birth, knowledge, and austerity, and who as a result commit offenses at the feet of my devotees, will be cheated in this age, for they will not accept my glories. And then it is after saying this verse that Mahaprabhu says, in every town and village of the world, the chanting of my name will be heard. So this is the context in the Chaitanya Bhagavat where Mahaprabhu is speaking. You know, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, many times we read about the term Mlecha and Yavana. The Mlechas and the Yavanas, this is not an insult term for foreigners. They were also part of the Vedic culture. In fact, you will read that in Patanjali Yoga Sutras, he quotes that the definition of the word Mlecha. He says, Mlecha ma bhumetya dhyayema vyakaranam. One should not learn grammar or Sanskrit out of place like a Mlecha. The word Mlecha actually means someone who is not able to speak Sanskrit, someone who has a foreign method of communication. And the Mlecha kings were actually part of the Vedic culture. So it is not that the Vedic culture sees the rest of the world as foreign. Ayam nijaha paroveti gananham laguchetasam udhara chitanatum vasudeva kudumbakam. In the scriptures it states that people tend to say, Ayam nijaha. These are my friends. Paroveti, those are foreigners. Gananam laguchetasam. People who differentiate, they have small minds, small brains, small intelligence. Udhara charitranam tu. Someone who is open, someone who has true sight is udhara. Vasudeva kutumbakam. See the entire world as my family. It is not that these are my friends and these are my enemies. The Vedic culture sees the entire world as part of Krishna's plan. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 9th canto, chapter 23, Sutta Goswami explains that the descendants of Maharaj Yayati were actually given the entire planet. You may know that Maharaj Yayati had 5 sons, Yadu, Turvasu, Anu, Dhruya, and Puru. Just in summary, Maharaj Yati's son Yadu, in whose family Lord Krishna himself appeared, he was given the central and west of India to reign. For example, Mathura and Dwarika. Turvasu was given the south and southeastern parts of India, and Anu was given the northern and northern-western parts of India, such as Punjab and the Indus Valley. These 3 sons were given India to reign by Maharaja Yati. His 2 other sons, who were the sons of Devyani, a Brahmin princess, Dhruya and Puru. Listen very carefully. Dhruya was given the northwestern regions outside of India, starting from Gandhar, Afghanistan, and expanded west and north. Okay? Puru, he was given the central parts of India known as Kurukshetra. And it was Puru in whose family Maharaj Dushyant, Bharat, Kuru and the Pandavas took their birth. So Prabhupada, you may know that there is a lecture which is very famous on TV, you'd see sometimes on the internet. Prabhupada gave a lecture in Melbourne where he spoke to the devotees and he said in 1975, you European Americans, you are also Aryans, Indo-European stock. Maharaja Yati, he was the grandson of Maharaj Pururava. He gave to his sons the portions of Eastern Europe, Greek and Rome. That is the history, Mahabharata. So even Srila Prabhupada, he didn't see foreigners as someone who were outside of our target market or outside of our culture. He saw them also as part of his inherent culture. And therefore Prabhupada's mission essentially was to bring everybody back to their native culture, back to thriving in a relationship with Lord Sri Krishna. What you'll find is in Prabhupada quoted the Mahabharata. You may know that Srila Prabhupada's grandmother, she asked Srila Prabhupada to recite the Mahabharata to her. So Prabhupada was only a few years old, and every day he would recite Mahabharata to his grandmother. This is mentioned in the first chapter of Leela Amrit. And Prabhupada, he learnt the Mahabharata by reading the Mahabharata to his grandmother every day. And he would go to his neighbor's house to flick through the black and white pages of the artist impressions of the Mahabharata. So Srila Prabhupada was very much clear about the nature of this planet, its geographies, and how various cultures either deviated or remained faithful to their original Krishna conscious culture. However, in the Bhagavatam it explains that after the Mahabharata war, when Yudhishthir had left after 36 years of reigning this planet, he had a son, as all of you know, and despite the various progeny of the Pandavas, it was Parikshit who was given the reign of Hastinapur and Indraprasth, and ultimately the entire planet. In the Bhagavatam 9th canto, chapter 22, it explains that the final heir of the Pandava dynasty was Maharaj Kshemak. Now Maharaj Kshemak is a long story, but Maharaj Kshemak was actually murdered by the Mlechas, by foreigners. And this was essentially to take revenge upon what happened in the Mahabharata. Because in the Mahabharata, it's a very long history, but it describes in a lot of detail how countries around the entire planet, they came and majority of them sided with Duryodhana. And therefore they perished. Most of the kings, of course, were not able to return back to their kingdom, and chaos erupted across different countries around the world. People therefore became distant from Sashana, from rules and regulations on how to control society, so that they are all advancing spiritually. Maharaj Kshemak, who was the last descendant of the Pandava Vamsh, was murdered. Now what happens is that the Bhagavatam mentions the last descendant because the values and the qualities that were coming down generation after generation from Maharaj Parikshit were being intact and kept carefully. After Maharaj Kshemak, there was a decline of forgiveness, charity, honesty, love and compassion. And therefore, Maharaj Kshemak's son, Pradyot, he became angry. He had a mindset of seeking revenge. And as you know, Narad Muni is the perfect person to incite what's deep inside your heart. Okay. So Narad Muni came and he said to Maharaj Pradyot, your father, because he was murdered by the foreigners, do you know, he went to hell because he was touched and brutally murdered by them. What are you going to do about it? And then he said to Narad, you might have told me the answer. So Narad said, perform a mlecha yagya. Perform a mlecha yagya, by which, using the power of the hymns, they will fly from various parts of the earth into the air and land in your Havan Kund. And in this way, you'll seek revenge from those who murdered Maharaj Kshemak, the final descendant of the Pandavas. So long story short, Pradyut began to offer oblations into the sacred fire. Now see if you can work out who these dynasties were, from which countries that flew in the air and landed in the Havan Kund. Can you imagine? At Kurukshetra, King Pradyot, concentrating his mind on the gods, started pouring oblations, and through the power of the mantras, Mlecha dynasties from Hara, Huna, Barbara, Gorunda, actually England, Shaka, Kas, Yavana, Pallava, Roma, Karsambhava, Kamaru, dwellers of islands, Dvipa, Stithan, Kam Rush. Rush? Sorry. China. And those living around the ocean, Sagara Madhyagan, was summoned. At that time, the entire earth was bereft. So I keep looking at, I'm so sorry, 5 minutes left. The entire earth was bereft of the dynasties of the Mlechas, who were the descendants of the 5 sons of Maharaja Yati. Kali became really sad. This is meant to be my age. Where are my dynasties who are going to help me promote violence, greed, anger, revenge, hatred? So he prayed to Lord Vishnu. And he said to Lord Vishnu, Ragya Vedavata Natha Mamastan Vinashitam. My dear Lord, it was Vedavan, the son of Maharaj Pradyot, who had destroyed all of my places of residence. And Mama Priyasya Mlechasya, and my dear Mlecha dynasties, Tat Pitra Vamsha Nashanam. Maharaj Vedavan, his father Maharaj Pradyut, he was the one who destroyed all the Mlecha dynasties in the Mlecha Yagya. Therefore, my dear Lord, please give me place to live. Please give me a place where my dynasties can flourish. And that is when Kalim Pravocha Cha Harir, Lord Hari spoke to Kali. And he said to Kali, Yushmat Arthe Yugotamam. This Kali Yuga is the best Yuga for you. I agree. You must have people. You must have those who are not interested in Vedic culture to flourish on earth, because this Yuga is for them. And then he said, Bahurupam aham kritva. I bless you to appear in many, many forms, so that your dynasties can be regenerated, repopulated. And he said, Tav echam purayam yaham. I will definitely fulfill your desire. And then he said, Adhamo nama purushaha patni havyavati tatha. There will be a human by the name of Adham and his wife Havyavati. Vishnu Kardamo Jatam. They will be the progeny of Maharishi Kardama. And Mlecha Vamsha Pravardhano. They will repopulate the planets with Mlecha dynasties. It was 8,200 years before Kali Yuga that Adham and Havyavati, under the forbidden tree, Papa Vrikshatale Gatva, were influenced by Kali as a snake to disobey God's order. Kalis Tatra Agatas Turnam Sarparupam. Okay? So this is the history of the Western world from the eyes of the Vedic scriptures. Because why? Because the Vedic scriptures existed before, a long, long time ago. And therefore it has a worldview. Because we see the Western world as part of the progeny of Maharaj Yayati. There cannot be any absence of Western development, Western civilization outside of the Vedic culture, because it is not foreign. And Kali, who came in the form of the serpent, who said, eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge and ignorance. Start entering into jnana, vairagya, and ahankar. And forget about bhakti. You know who got influenced? I won't say the name. because we want to think about equality. But khaditva tat phalam ramyam, they ate the fruit. And having eaten the fruit, sutaha putta tato jata sarva malecha babuvare, children were then born to expand the Malecha dynasty. And interestingly, trimshottaram navashatam tasya yayu pari kirtitam. Adam at that age was 930 years old. This happened at the end of Dwapar Yuga. The Puranas explain, Arya Desha Kshinavanto, that the power of the Arya Deshas, the power of the countries where Krishna consciousness is in predominance, will decline. And Mlecha Vamsha Balanvita, and the Malecha countries will gain power and prominence. And this is why in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, last point, I've got 30 seconds. Let's see how fast I am. Okay. This is why in the Brahma Vaivarta Purana, when Mother Ganga began to cry, Krishna, you're leaving the earth. What will happen to me? While you were on earth, you played in my rivers, and I remained pure. I remained satisfied. You're leaving the earth. What will happen to me? The Lord Krishna said, don't worry. My mantra upashak, the worshipper of the holy name, he will travel to foreign lands, and he will make them devotees of Krishna, of myself. And he will then bring them back to India. And the feet of the devotees are so pure that they will enter the Ganga and again give you the same bliss and the same purification that once you received when I was also entering the Ganga. Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai, Shri Sita Lakshmana ki jai, Shri Gaunithai ki jai. And in this way, even Lord Krishna himself foretold of the coming of Srila Prabhupada. There's so much more that I could share in this regards, but time is short. Essentially, Srila Prabhupada is directly a member of the scriptures. And anyone who participates in his Leela, which he has given to us. And in fact, in the Brahma-vaivarta Purana, it mentions how Krishna says, for 10,000 years, the devotees of Mantra Upashak, the worship of the holy name, will reign on this planet, bringing the messages of peace and love to the entire planet. And in this way, let alone Ganga, the entire world will be purified. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you all so much. We are allowed to take questions, but I'm going to just move myself onto the floor so that we can take a few questions, because the Vyasa-san is required. So if you have some questions, I'll just take those in a few moments. Hare Krishna. Okay, so I've done my bit now. Okay, they can take the Vyasas, and thank you, Prabhuji. So we can do just 5 minutes of Q&A if that's required. Otherwise, I'll let you have breakfast. Prabhuji had a question. The question was about Jaipur. Oh, that's a beautiful story. So, Kashishwar Pandit, one of the greatest God brothers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As you know, he was asked by Ishvara Puri to look after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, Kashishwar Pandit, he was actually a bodybuilder. He was huge. He was like 8 foot tall. His arms were gigantic. And Kashishwar Pandit, he was the one who would walk in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during Rath Yatra and look after him to make sure that nobody disturbs Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Kashishwar Pandit, when he was worshipping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, looking after him, it was his disciple, Govinda Das, who was actually worshipping the Govinda deity. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that a letter has come from Rupa Goswami that Govinda Dev has manifested. Therefore, Kashishwar, please leave my service and go and worship Govinda Dev in Vrindavan, because Rupa Goswami has just sent a letter. Kashishwar Pandit, it was good news for him, but his heart cracked in two. He said to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why would I leave your service to go and worship a deity in Vrindavan, even though that deity was installed by Maharaj Vajranabh, the great grandson of the Pandavas? Why would I leave you? Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I will do something for you only. From Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart, he took out a golden deity of himself. And this deity, he said, I'm going to name it Gaura Govinda. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaura, Govinda. Lord Chaitanya in a golden color as Lord Krishna. And he took this deity out from his heart and he gave it to Kashishwar. And Kashishwar was still not satisfied. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, feed the deity some fruit. And as Kashishwar Pandit started to feed hand fruit to the deity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the deity's hand went forward, grabbed the fruit, and he began to eat the fruit in front of Kashishwar's very own eyes. That is when Kashishvara realized that this deity that manifested from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart is actually living and is actually real. Then he was comfortable to leave Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's service, and he walked to Vrindavan. And when Rupa Goswami heard about this deity, the eating deity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he put Gaura Govinda on the right hand side of Govinda Dev. So when you go to Jaipur, please make sure you look straight and you look to your left. Because if you look to your left, you will see the beautiful deity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaura Govinda, who is even to this day waiting for Kashishwar Pandit to give him fruit or our love. So that is the small story of Kashishwar and Gaura Govinda. Prabhuji.
Thank you so much for a lovely class. Thank you so much for a lovely class. My question is just that I need to collect the references, if I may. The Prahlad Maharaj references is Srimad Bhagavatam 7?
I will give you the references. I will give you the references.
Thank you. And then also the Vedas, the references there regarding the Adam and Eve. That would be. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Because what's interesting is that because the Vedic scriptures came first, there's a question: who copied who? Right? So we're not too interested in that. But the reality is that in the Vedic scriptures, you will have versions of the history as we know it today, not entirely matching the same. Some parts match. For example, Navatrimshat. Adam was 930 years old. If you look in the Western scriptures, they say he was about that age. Some things match, some things won't match. For example, Patni Havyavati Tatha. The scriptures state his wife's name was Havyavati. Havya means one who offers oblations, one who joins the husband in worship. Now, Havyavati is the wife's name. Perhaps that became known as shortened Eve. So it's not going to entirely match, but 100% it is in the spirit of diversity. It's very important to be open to different ideas. And there is a concept of the Western civilization from the Vedic eye. And I think that's very beautiful because it came from the handwriting of Maharishi Vyas.
Thank you, Prabhu. I just wanted to say that would help us with our preaching to Christians. Thank you.
Prabhu, can I just check? So, you gave the reference where Prabhupada was saying how the Western countries, European and American, are descendants of Maharaj Yayati. But then, this is also aligned with you saying the story of the Western countries are descendants of this new race. So
Yeah, sure. So what happened was there was a little blip in the middle because Maharaj Kshemak came and he paused the dynasties in terms of the kings, but their children, their progeny was still around. So what remained constant was the general population, but the kings who were in charge of the population, there was a blip between that because they were dragged into the yajna and then regenerated in that story. Makes sense? So the people were still around. It was always the kings. Unlike war nowadays, they attack civilians. In the Vedic concept, if there was a war, only the kings will be engaged. Civilians will not be touched. So the civilians remained. And when Prabhupada says American and European stock, amazing word, huh? Okay. Prabhupada was a businessman, before. He studied English and philosophy and economics. In 1920, he graduated from Scottish Church College, Kolkata. So Prabhupada used the word stock, maybe for that reason. But essentially, the population, that remains constant. That continued onwards like that. Does that make sense? Yeah, thank you.
I've got one more. Maybe just regarding the Maha Mantra. You hear different things. Some places, I think, Kali Santara Upanishad, it's reversed. And there's quite a lot of confusion. Some people say actually the Maha Mantra is a tantric mantra, it's not Vedic. So maybe you could sort of clarify, is it
Definitely.
this way around or that way around?
So this is my favorite topic, and I would love to speak for about 3 hours on this. So I'm like, wow, what a question. It's my favorite topic. Look, I'll be very honest with you because we're all friends here. I've done about 30 years of research on this particular topic. So I would love to share that at some point in the future. But essentially, in the presence of the deities, I can confirm to you that after 30 years of research, there is absolutely no evidence that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reversed the Maha Mantra. So thank you, confirmed. Okay. So Mahaprabhu didn't reverse the Maha Mantra. It's just a rumor. It doesn't exist. And in versions of the Kali Santana Upanishad that I've personally read, I've only seen the Maha Mantra as Prabhupada promoted it. I've never seen it reversed. So there are reasons why people say the Hare Ram part comes first. Essentially in India, because they think Lord Ram came first. So that's why they would think Lord Ram should be first in the Maha Mantra. But as we know, in the Maha Mantra, really speaking, it is not actually Lord Ram. Because Srila Prabhupada gave the flexibility for us to represent the Maha Mantra as required for preaching purposes. But the real reason is in the 10th canto, chapter 29. Hanat Ramana Preshta Kwasi Kwasi Mahabhuja Dasyaste Kripanayame Sakhe Darashya Sannidhim. See, 2.5 hours I need left. But essentially, when Shri Radharani was shocked that Krishna had disappeared, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in the 10th canto that Krishna hid under the veil of Shri Radharani. Long story, okay? But when Krishna ran away and hid from Shri Radharani, then she called out to him, Hanat Ramana Preshta, my dear lover, Raman, where are you? Kwasi Kwasi Mahabhuja. And it was 4,500 years later that her cry of Raman under the same Ashwata tree, the deity of Shri Radharaman Dev manifested through the agency of Shri Radharani's sister, Ananga Manjari, Gopal Bhatt Goswami. And it is this form of Lord Krishna who Shri Radharani calls my lover, Raman. That name is in the Maha Mantra. Krishna and Raman. And it's invoked as Hare Ram. So it's a long, you have to take time out to explain this in detail. But the Maha Mantra is the ecstatic expression of Shri Radharani when Krishna left her at the moment where she most needed him. He does that to people, only to increase your love towards him. Is that okay, just for now? Yeah. I'm so sorry.
I look forward to the seminar.
Hare Krishna. I'm going to get in trouble. Sure, I'm so sorry, please. No problem, no problem. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Can you please write a book about all this? Yeah, so many nice references and things. It's nice to have a reference so we can read and share and learn. And
Thank you. I
Please
would
do.
definitely consider that at some point. A bit busy with the boys at home and other stuff. I will, but
thank
not
you.
now.
All right. Radha Gokulanand just
Thank
heard you.
you so much. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you all so much. And enjoy your Gita Jayanti today and see you again very soon. Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nithai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.